I'm covered, yeah, not in gold or pearls or fame, but under his name.
Welcome. So I'm here with OriYah today, and we're doing an experiment on two different platforms at the same time, trying to use this conversation that we're hoping will bless many people, myself included. I'm here to learn. So I guess I would just say that a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, when OriYah and I were going through her testimony, for those of you who didn't see it, we'll try to make a link somewhere that you can go and watch it. It was great. It was a lot of fun for me. Oh, that's what it was. Oh, and I'm just cringing. So we got kind of toward the end of the testimony, and she was starting to say some weird things, and I was like, whoa, because we didn't know each other very well. We still don't, although we just went grocery shopping together, so that was a bonding moment.
Yes.
But she started to say some things, and I'm like, oh dear, like, just don't bring me into the Kabbalah. And I saw her body language, so we're gonna have to talk about that.
We are.
And then she held up this picture, and I shielded my eyes from it. So there's all the colors of the rainbow chakra. So background on myself is that I came from the New Age, and I was a yoga teacher. And when I met Jesus, I started reading the Bible, and I threw out everything that resembled what I will call the New Age. So OriYah is somebody who I trust, and I'm really looking forward to be able to pick her brain, because she has a much different outlook than what I have. Again, leaving New Age to Jesus is, there's a pendulum. Oh, we can't talk about pendulums too. Maybe we will. If you tell the fortunes with pendulums, I think you're going to have to leave. Yeah. I don't know. But I went too much in one direction, I think, and I'm starting to course correct. Thanks to people like you who are clearly, the Father is putting you on my path for exactly this conversation. So that's where we'll start with that I hope, I know that there are people who read the Bible, and even who are who call themselves whole Bible believers or on the path of Torah, who are very confused by this subject, and will probably take issue with what I'm saying or with what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, for sure. And it's something that, like, I mean, especially coming out of the Christian church, I mean, even the word meditation, even though that word is in Scripture, it's demonic. You don't go near it. The word frequency and vibration and all of those things, there's many people that are very much like a sort of like a fear-based response of your brain is programmed and wired in a certain way to just associate with that's wrong, that's of the enemy. And I've been very fortunate enough to come from a before stepping into the faith aspect of my life now, of how heavy I am into following the Most High. That's annoying. I was a biology and chemistry major, so my science background kind of gave me a little bit of a foundation to understand energy and stuff like that in a way. And I kind of circumvented the religious mindset when it comes to a lot of these things. And so now, I mean, everything that I know has been brought to me by the Father. And like, we were talking before we went live of, I don't follow teachers of Torah and Christianity and science and all of these things. I don't really know who most people are that are in the world. And a lot of what I know or have learned over the years has come from just spending time with the Father, observing his creation, and taking it right from Scripture. So hopefully it'll help kind of bridge the gap between.
Well, but you have clear eyes, that means, because so I had a little blip in church. It was very, very short blip, because things weren't making sense there either, and went into these, like, even Facebook groups where everything was demonized. It was like really, it was very legalistic in a certain way of it's this, and like, burn everything. I got rid of the big brass statues that I had in my house. Like, I literally had statues of Hindu gods in my house. I think that was the correct thing to do. But like, got rid of all the crystals, because the crystals were demonic. So that's something I have a lot of questions about. But remember or to know that in our lives, like in my life, even as a mother, like I was using crystals so that the crystals would heal my children.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line there.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the Father gave us crystals. Yes, they have frequencies. Are we supposed to be using them to heal our kids, or is the Father supposed to heal our kids? You know, maybe I won't ever get to the end of that tunnel,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're all I got. You're my hope
Yeah.
for right now.
And I honestly, like, I don't know all the answers, but what I do know, like, there's a lot that you take and absorb what resonates and what is found in Scripture, and then tossing away the rest. And there's a lot that I understand that I have proven right in Scripture, but then there's also things that kind of I just decide I don't need to know the answer. I don't need to come to the conclusion of that. But I do think we'll be able to help sort out a lot for sure.
But on what you just said, that's how I've gotten through the last 2 years of being on this Torah path, is like I don't really need that in my life. I don't need to know. But then what resurfaced was plant medicine, because that was something that also got thrown in the garbage as well. Was like, oh, you can't, you can only have the laying on of hands. That's the only way that we can heal. Or that people will go to pharmaceuticals instead of plant medicine because plant medicine is for witches, So now that I've come back around to like, okay, Jenny, that's ridiculous. Take the tincture, drink the tea. Don't be crazy. I think there are probably other elements. Meditation is something that you said. For me, Eastern meditation and the meditation of the Bible is not the same thing. So we can definitely talk about that.
I will say real quick, I don't know if she's still here. Jamie Lynn commented that she also came out of the New Age. So we have somebody at least that understands coming from that. I didn't come from New Age. I came from science mixed with Christianity, really, and trying to sort out what was what. So where do you want to begin?
I almost wish I had a checklist of like, is it New Age, OriYah? And I would say, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Because you have this picture. So, and at the end of the testimony, when I started going like this, when I saw your little person with the chakras, because they're the colors of the rainbow. There are 7. 7 is clearly a biblical number. So what was I doing? I was making, I don't know if the sister who received this bag will get it, but I have the name of the Father in Paleo Hebrew, and I had made it in the perfect rainbow. And as I was counting and deciding how many strips of each thing I was gonna do each color, I was like, oh, there's 7. And I said, wow, this looks like chakras. And I was having this like deflating moment of like, okay, what am I not understanding? He put the rainbow in the sky for us. There are 7, and but then also like this, I know this is the root chakra down at the bottom. I know a lot about the root chakras. I did series as a yoga teacher of sequencing yoga sequences based on working that kundalini right up the spine. And so like all that kind of stuff, like, I don't know. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not going to like throw you out of here, but I'm hoping that, I'm hoping there's an answer to these questions.
Tina is from my group as well. She says, Shalom, and I'm so glad I didn't miss this. Well, I'm glad you're here too. Anthony's here. So Jamie Lynn also said that she threw out her plant medicine stuff as well. So she's got a lot of confusion. So we're glad that you guys are here as well. One of the things that I almost said to you before we started recording, we had to stop, was
I was like, don't, not yet.
Because it's so true. This level of understanding wasn't taught to the main body of the Hebrew people. It wasn't something that was widely passed around and widely understood. But there's hints of a lot of this in apocryphal texts in a group called the Order of the Ancients, the Order of Melchizedek, the Order of Enoch. Later on, they were called the Essenes. So this is a separate priesthood, the elect group of people that actually dwelt outside of the main body of Israel. And they did, like, if you look at, I could pull it up here, but it's called the Order of the Ancients, or the Writings of Elijah. He was one of the members of this order. And they understood how the body works.
Elijah, like
Yeah.
Eliyahu Elijah?
Yeah, Eliyahu. Yeah.
Gotcha.
They understood how the body worked, energy of the body. They understood fasting and in meditation. They understood different types of prayer. They understood consciousness. They understood becoming less flesh, becoming less flesh in nature and more spiritual in nature. The entire group of people basically sought after the city of Hanuk, which Enoch and Elijah are the only two that we have in canon of being documented not experiencing death. But it was an entire order of people that sought after this level of righteousness and heavenly knowledge that was passed down to a separate group of people, that it was dangerous. I mean, Ezra was another one that was given multiple books, and the instructions were only a few of these are meant for most people, but save a lot of this for the wise among you. And so, like, in these types of things, like, I wouldn't recommend just beginning to go out and learn about chakras and learn about all of these things if you don't have a solid foundation of faith, of like your relationship with the Father and stuff like that, because it can be really confusing. But it is something that's known by a certain group of people all through history, basically.
So all I hear when you say like these next levels, I'm thinking of 33 degrees of something. I'm thinking of like you can't get to that until you're here. I'm thinking of Kabbalah. I'm thinking of all kinds of dark stuff that I don't want to know about.
So,
but we're here to learn.
We're here to learn. So the Masons, which is the 33 degree, we got to be really careful about TikTok because they'll like hear certain things and they'll flag it. But all throughout history, there's been a sort of wicked side of hidden knowledge. But there's been all through history, but hidden, the order of Melchizedek, or so the opposite side. So Noah, Shem, who was Melchizedek, and different levels of prophets that really have just been removed from texts, that have been the keepers of these sacred texts, these sacred books. And it is something that is, it's not any better or anything like that, but it's, I mean, if you're not having your heart wholly set on the Most High, and you're in it for pride or wanting to elevate yourself, you're dabbling in, like, you have the potential to reach for the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, of like, I don't need the Most High, I can do all this myself. And that's really the danger of a lot of this information. And so
it doesn't mean that everybody who is reaching for this information is eating the fruit. Like, that's the other image I have in my head, is that there's some things that we're maybe not supposed to know. So if we're constantly digging into this stuff, is that like territory that's not meant for us?
There's definitely lines that you can cross, I think. But everything that I am exploring, I've always gone back and pointed and been drawn right to scriptural evidence, even within canon. So texts that I have pulled up, we've got Proverbs to reference, Revelation to reference, and they're right in canon. And we can start to break apart some of these texts and see the evidence of this. And if you even look at, I mean, Messiah's teachings, like he said, he came teaching the good news, not that he was going to save people from their sin, but his good news was the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The reign of the Ruach is at hand, and it's within. And that can be very triggering to many people when on the New Age side of it, it's the kingdom is within, and you are Elohim, and you are God.
So another thing where thank you.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Where that line is for me is like when I hear, like, it's making me think of Christ consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I still don't see the difference between what you're maybe getting at and what that is.
Well, Christ consciousness or enlightenment is something that people can achieve in any culture because you are designed in a certain way. The difference is having it be surrendered to the Most High, submitted to the Most High. There are limits that we are given as men, like, for example, divination, astral projection, lots of these types of things that are taught in the New Age. We're not supposed to go there.
Okay.
We are not meant to leave our bodies without the Most High bringing us into the spirit on our own. But a lot of the information in that. So how the body is made, the energy points in the body that attach to our organs, that's just part of being a human. And that cannot possibly belong to the enemy, because the Most High is the one who made our bodies, who made the energy systems within our bodies. And you can see, like, when you really start to compare and look at what comes from the Father versus when you start to take that knowledge and use it for yourself, that's when it starts to become, that's when you start to kind of step out of that proper covering. So like this picture is one of the things that I'll show you guys here. I want to just make sure I'm just people greeting each other. So this image was the one that I was showing her that shows the toroidal field. This is how the energy in the body is, whether you are a Christian, you're a Torah keeper, whether you are New Age, whatever you believe, it doesn't really matter, because this is biologically how we're wired. And the 7 energy points are evidence in Scripture. So one of the greatest examples of this would be the 7 branches of the menorah, which lines up to the 7 Ruach HaChath, or the 7 spirits of the Most High. So there's connection points within the body. And when we look at our bodies lined up, looking at the temple, looking at the menorah, looking at the tree of life, which I have lots of different references that we can go into today, it is all like a mirror. It's a perfect system within a perfect system within a perfect system. So this energy flow is the same way that that cells within our body have an energy flow. Our bodies have the same energy flow as the planet that we live on. And I don't, whether or not you believe in the flat earth, I mean planet, a flat plane, with a toroidal field. And so this is just how the Most High has made energy. And it is the 7 colors of the rainbow, because how do we get into this? It's the same thing with thought, with sound, with light, with plasma. They're different sort of levels of the same energy that all comes from the Father. So our thoughts are a vibrational frequency that has a certain wavelength. And then you move up the spiral, then we get sound.
So you're talking science now.
Yeah.
You're not talking weird New
No,
Age
this
stuff.
is measurable
yeah.
science. So this is not just New Age stuff anymore. There's literal.
So like this is Muladhara chakra. So you tell me you don't call this Muladhara because that's a Sanskrit word.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
I don't have any understanding. I
Okay.
did not come from this from any New Age direction. This is all coming from my biological background and then reading in Scripture.
Are these all linked up to different, like, you know, for example, the root chakra represents, in the New Age at least, like security. It's almost like Maslow's pyramid, you know, and as you, this is the throat chakra. This has to do with the way that we express ourselves. This is the heart chakra. This is the,
So all of that is still related. Yes. I have no idea what they're called. And the only Sanskrit word I know is chakra, and that literally just means wheel.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel actually talks about the wheels within wheels. And so to call it a chakra, that doesn't really necessarily threaten me, just because I understand that it means wheel. I would call these the 7 seals.
Oh my gosh, no.
What? I'm triggering you.
No, not at all. It's cool. It's not. That wasn't a bad groan. That was.
I'm triggering.
No. I'll have little light bulbs go off, and I might.
So they are. It is 7 seals of energy points within the body. That it's not about a Kundalini awakening, having energy travel up the spine, because that's the opposite. Our energy comes from the Father. It doesn't come from below.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. Okay, we're getting somewhere. It's good.
So in this image, we have the pure light from the Father. So I'll show you. I got 2 images here. This one's really cool too.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
So in This is basically, I'm just representing the firmament as this. Okay, so up above the firmament is pure light. This is the light around the throne, the light coming from source. Just like the sun shines many rays in all different directions, we have, imagine, one ray coming down off of source. This is a fragment of the Father's nature, a part of his essence is in every single human being that is made in his image. And so as the pure unfragmented light breaks apart, it is then basically in the rainbow. So it comes down and it breaks apart in our beings. And so you probably understand the head and the heart as what creates the energy field within the body. It's the same as like a battery or a compass, or there's like a north and south pole, or a positive and negative. So your thoughts, your brain, I mean, if you think about like, what are you putting out into the world, like type of ideas, your thoughts actually aren't just stuck in your head. Your thoughts are a measurable energetic wave that project out of your body. Whereas your heart, your emotions, these are gifts from the Father. It is a drawing in sort of energy. So they both create energetic fields. But because one projects out and another draws in, it creates a general continual movement. So the energy around the body comes like this, but our energy is not pulled up from the earth like this.
I mean,
It
what you're
comes
saying
down.
is that the counterfeit version is completely upside down.
Pretty much, pretty much. You're giving power to something that you're completely
But I
disconnecting
mean,
it from
it's
the
just
Father.
interesting even to think of, you know, what is below us versus what is above us, and where do we want to get our energy.
Exactly. And that's like the reason why people can achieve enlightenment and awakening using these other sorts of practices. I mean, Kundalini is like the most famous one, is because it hijacks the authentic design of the Father that he gave us, and it uses the same pathways through the body, and you can see evidence of healing and awakening and raising your frequency. And like people that are in a new age path of enlightenment, they can be moving from being trapped. So this, like, you'll understand, like red can mean like anger and resentment and fear, and then you get up into orange and it's anxiety and sort of confusion, and then you get into joy. So a lot of these different, like, you can see in new age practices and whatever, that any human can raise their vibrational frequency just because that's how they're designed. And so using that understanding, this serpent spirit, the Kundalini, hijacks that understanding and teaches you how to basically balance and ground your energy is very important. And so people get this, or honestly, it's a mixture of so much of the truth being found in those practices, but a twisted form of it that's hijacked.
And
versus,
and this is also doing it yourself, right? Like when you're doing the practice of yoga, it's very, I mean, it's quite satanic in that is do what thou wilt. It's self-love, self, you know, it's not, if you're yoking with the gods of Hinduism, it's not the same. It's not the same thing that's driving it.
Well, it's the same as like mudras with like your hands and chanting certain things in Sanskrit. So vibration, sound, frequency, moving the body, all of these things are tools from the Father. That technically the astrology signs, like that people use.
The Master I have a lot of.
So this, like, well, the zodiac, the Most High specifically talks about in Job. Like, did you put them in their places? Did you give them their seasons? But it's something that it all goes back to the fallen angels that basically took the stars, took the science of the human body, took all of that, removed the Most High from it, and then said, look, you can be your own God. Look, you can do this yourself. And so what I believe the Most High has been bringing me into this understanding of, like, basically taking back what should rightfully be the Father's. And like, it's not something to be afraid of, because honestly, it's really kind of important to understand that our being is only about 7% physical flesh, and our energetic signature extends 6 feet around. Like, you and I are not physically touching right now, but our energy is interacting. And to not know that we have a biofield that can be messed with and tracked and all of this, it's like the powers that be have specifically made the world the way that it is, that so much of this understanding is found way outside of the truth. But then while you're in the truth, it's like demonized, and you're afraid of it because they don't want people that are in the truth, that are submitted to the Most High, understanding this, because it makes you an easy target. Like, if you don't realize that your thoughts actually travel outside your body, that spiritual beings and technology that can read certain waves can literally read your thoughts. Like, you think your phone just happens to know what you're talking about and thinking, like, it's not, you're not imagining it. It really does have the ability to do that. And so something that I believe, like, I don't know how far it's going to go, but I believe the Father has given me these understandings because it's really just to reclaim what the enemy has stolen. I mean, think about the rainbow. The rainbow itself has been taken and twisted by a whole culture of people, and it's a backwards, broken version of it, but it doesn't mean the rainbow belongs to a group of people.
It's the exact same thing that got me started on this path of, like, maybe starting to question and thinking I went too far with that pendulum, was the plant medicine, as I was telling you before. And determined with a few other sisters who are herbalists, who are biblical herbalists, you know, that it's the pharmakeia is the counterfeit version of the plant medicine. The plant medicine is what we're supposed to have, and it's been twisted, and then everything gets thrown into the garbage.
So I'm going to turn the page, and we're going to talk about how exactly. So this is my little a lovely sketch, but it's basically to try to show the percentage of water to dirt ratio that we're made of, basically. Your video stopped. Your iPhone storage is full. We're going to have to use my live stream then.
All right, that's all right.
See if it allows you.
That would happen.
Oh, yeah. Her iPhone's not working.
We're on one camera now. That's fine.
All right. So Scripture tells us that the Most High made man from the dirt, that he formed the clay and he breathed his life into it. And what science actually shows, if you go out and take a big old scoop of dirt, like 98% of what is needed to run your body is found in the dirt. It's so much of it. So what's also proven is we are about 75% of water. And that's like water that we understand, but there's also like a more gelatinous sort of water called fascia, which I'm sure that word to you is triggering.
I was a yoga therapist. I spent many hours learning about how to help you unpack your fascia.
So fascia is very real. Fascia is a form of water that is more of like a gelatinous form of water. What science is beginning to understand, that water has memory. Water is the holder and carrier for consciousness. I mean, so many studies are being done towards that. And so if we start to understand that we are a mixture of basically what dirt is made out of with water, this is what this is depicting. So something that we all have that is basically dictates who we are, what our physical vessel is our DNA. So your DNA, I wish I had a better diagram of it. This double helix is how DNA is mostly depicted. Your DNA acts as like a fractal receiver. The job of your DNA is to pick up frequencies, and depending on the frequencies, it can change different, like you can flip on the DNA switch for cancer, and you didn't have cancer before, but once that DNA thing is triggered because of different frequencies, you can then develop cancer. We technically all have the potential to carry cancer, and it's just whether or not that gene is triggered. You can have the genetics turned on for lots of different things. But so the reason why I have this diagram of being 75% water, essentially what is happening when this, I'm going to go back to show this. When this signal, which is frequency, so a frequency of light enters the body of water. Have you ever seen cymatics?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
exactly what I was thinking of. I learned all
yeah?
kinds about it at my yoga teacher training.
Yeah. So cymatics is literally just a visualization of sound or a frequency in a medium. So you can have cymatics pattern in water, you can have cymatics in a bubble, you can make cymatics in sand. It's
And I mean, and they're beautiful. It's like snowflakes or
yes.
any.
Yeah. So I wish I had. Now I do wish I had my something to look it up. So the cymatics patterns, if you, instead of looking at DNA this way, if you do a cross section of DNA this way, there's cymatics patterns.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we're constantly shown DNA at this direction. So literally what we're looking at, your DNA are cymatics patterns within the body of water. So depending on this frequency that enters the water in the clay is literally what, depending on the energy and all of that, it's what the word manifest is probably triggering, but that's what manifests our physical form in this reality. And so we have these vessels of water and clay that have eyes that perceive the light spectrum. We have ears that are perceiving the auditory spectrum. And then we have touch, we have smell, we have taste. We have 5 main senses, and they're basically gates. They're energy conversion gates that take in the data. It's just code, it's just energy all around us at all times. And what we perceive isn't actually there, it's just what our brains tell us. So your eyes are not actually seeing the things around you, they're picking up the matrix code would be a good way to explain it. They're picking up the energy that the Father puts around us, and your eyes then send that digital code, that electrical signal to your brain, and your brain is what then takes it and formulates a visual image. Your ears pick up a different level of the same spiral. So I don't know, I'm kind of rambling here, but it's all one big spiral. So your eyes perceive one element of it, your ears perceive like lower octaves basically. So lower down on the spiral octaves, your ears are picking up the auditory spectrum, and it's just electrical signals that then your ear computes that to your brain, and your brain then tells you what you're actually perceiving. Which, because of all of this, because of the way that your body is designed, we are like 7% physical flesh, and so much of who we are is contained in this energetic body. It's why manifesting and healing and miracles are not just reserved for those who are submitted to the Most High.
Yeah.
It's when you have your brain, which is sending out those thoughts, and you have your heart, that heart chakra, the heart wheel, when they are in agreement, where you like agree of this is the goal that I have, and you believe in your heart that it's already so, you actually begin to draw reality to you. And so manifesting is basically this understanding that in the quantum field, outside of space and time, all potentials are available like they're all out there, and it's infinite possibility. But the reality that comes to you is whatever your brain and your heart are in agreement with, if that makes sense. And so that concept is not just in New Age, that is also Messiah talks about. Like if you speak without doubt and you ask for the Father, like he gives us these things. If you believe, even with a mustard seed size faith, without doubt, and you speak to a mountain, you say, be thrown into the sea, it will obey and be thrown into the sea. And so much of this is literally just inherent to human beings because you're made in the image of the Most High. You have these energies in the body. You have this physical vessel that is literally wired to plug into this reality, and not just to perceive it, but to be able to manipulate it. And it's this type of information is very dangerous because people who want to be able to manifest all their money and manifest all, like they can like that. It's why manifestation works. It's why like there's so much of this understanding that works. But the difference is being submitted to the Most High is not taking from the tree of good and evil. So the Most High, like if you go back to the garden, the temptation of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil was verily, or like, you will be like Elohim. That was the whole temptation, was if you take this, you'll understand all of this and you won't need him anymore. Basically, that's what the temptation was. So this is going to be tempting for so many people to be able to take this understanding and not to have to follow the Torah, and not to not take advantage of this and go and manifest according to your own will, versus praying and asking for things according to the will of the Father. And that's like a huge, huge difference. And so my personal belief is, I understand that there's miracles and there's lots of things that happen removed from the Father. But I also know the authority and the power that people have. Like, there's a huge difference between somebody who has authority over their own vessel because they're a human, versus when you're submitted to the Most High, you have his mark on your forehead and your right hand, meaning your thoughts are submitted to him, your actions are submitted to him. He is seated. So this is also like you looking over the structure of the physical temple on earth. The Holy of Holies is where like the pineal gland would be. His seat to the Holy of Holies, his signature being sealed on your forehead rather than anything else of the world, you no longer just have authority over your vessel. Now you have authority over all of creation. I mean, Messiah said, like, we would be able to do even greater things than him. I mean, we're casting out devils, we're healing the sick and the blind, raising the dead. These are things that are reserved only for those who are submitted to the Most High. So there's a lot that the human being has access to, and so many people will never come to truth, will never come to Christianity, because they can get so much of this without having to follow rules, without having to submit to the Most High. It doesn't mean that the information, like, if I wouldn't blame, if I had come into the New Age and had access to this understanding, and then I look at what the Christian church offers, I would want nothing to do with Christianity, because it's like, why would I limit all of this for rules and judgment and fear and living in, like, basically the Christian church?
Well, I can tell you from my point of view, and again, I was in the Christian church for a number of months before I realized that it was did not have the truth. That I wanted to show this book in case anybody has not read it that might be interested, and I think it's good. I'm going to have to go back and read it. But when I started reading all of the things that I was doing wrong as per Deuteronomy, I wanted nothing more to do with them, because there was oracle cards, there was New Age is a buffet of taking all of the things from all of the world religions and do as thou wilt. Right?
I mean, that's basically the slogan of Satanism, Luciferianism, is do what thou wilt.
So in going to the church and being baptized, it felt like a new beginning. It felt like I could leave all of that darkness behind me.
So I fully believe that this understanding and Christ consciousness, which what you talked about, which is basically unlocking all of these, and humans will begin to have supernatural abilities, because for centuries now, it's been pretty much, you either believe in faith and religion, or you believe in science, and it's kind of like the two don't cross. And so we live in a culture where supernatural healing and supernatural abilities and spiritual sight and lots of these different things are like very, very uncommon, and so many people just believe that it doesn't exist. But what's going to happen, I made a video about it on TikTok, like, I fully believe that a huge part of what the Antichrist is going to be a part of is raising this Christ consciousness, that you can basically become your own God. You can begin to manifest, and it's going to be with this understanding, because so much of it is true, but it's not going to be submitted to the Most High. It's not going to be following his commands and the rules that are there for our protection. But people will begin to cleanse their bodies on their own, of their mind and their heart coming into agreement with health and wellness and prosperity and all of these things, that then they will begin to heal themselves of cancers and diseases and infertility and all of these things, and there will be miracles, there will be signs and wonders. You're laughing. But
Yeah,
this is the, like,
yeah.
Revelation talks about,
Yeah.
like, the reason why people, like, the Antichrist is not somebody that's hated. This
No,
is somebody
exactly.
that they love, that literally makes people believe that he is
But
God
that's
in the
the
flesh.
angel. That's the angel of light problem. That's what it is.
Yes.
Is like I had. Do I want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. But just these images of pinks and purples and glitter, and there's all this stuff around, and it looks so alluring and so tempting, and it's not. It's not.
And I fully believe that this is going to be why signs and wonders and miracles.
Yeah, I heard you. That's why I laughed. That's incredible.
It's literally because for so long the human race has been like, this stuff doesn't exist, it's not real, and if you're in it, then you're in religion or whatever. But when this starts to rise and thousands of people begin to experience supernatural things, it'll be miracles, it'll be signs and wonders and things, and people will literally follow people that teach this. I mean,
yeah, it's already happening. I mean,
yeah, there's a Hindu prophecy that talks about a ruler who rises up and will have a crown and will unite the faith of Christianity and Hinduism, and it will be like, it's literally prophesied in Scripture, it's prophesied in all these ancient cultures, and it's the same thing that's going to happen. And I fully believe that this is how it's going to come to be, because we as humans have this ability. It's literally just, we have access to plugging into the matrix. We technically have souls, we have bodies, we have spirits, we have all of this. And because for so long we haven't lacked the understanding, when some character comes and begins to teach it everybody, and they begin to manifest these abilities.
Then what's the difference between harnessing whatever this is through the Most High versus through the other path?
Well, the Most High is never going to allow you to use things that is not submitted to his will. So the Torah, like, I am still very much a Torah keeper. I still very much am submitted to the will of the Father. I'm not going to try to manifest something in my reality that's outside of the Father's will to me. And so the difference between somebody who has this knowledge and understanding, submitted to the Most High, like Messiah could walk on water, Messiah could translate from one place to the other, Messiah had the ability to heal, to cast out demons, to like do all of the things that he did, which I believe honestly is going to be part of the inheritance that we are going to begin to see. But he was fully submitted to the Most High. He never said anything or did anything that was contrary to the Father. And so that would be the mark of somebody that has this understanding, who has these abilities and these inheritances. Like, the Messiah had his entire energy unlocked. I mean, he was fully enlightened, and that's a New Age term, but like, he didn't have blockages in his body. His vessel was the purest vessel for the Ruach HaKodesh to fill. And so how much of the spiritual authority we have, how much of the Ruach within us is dependent on how much our vessels are purified. It has to do with toxins in our bodies. It has to do with traumas. If we're bogged down by traumas, if we have certain things, it limits, like if you have parts of yourself closed off to the Ruach, like the Most High is not going to force himself into those places. And so, I mean, yep, Christ consciousness is the twisted form of that, but Messiah was the purest vessel to ever exist, to carry the fullness of the indwelling of the Spirit. And so he had probably the largest, brightest energy field. He had the ability to do all these things. And when he promises that we will be able to do what he did and more, I fully believe that it comes with understanding traumas and healing from traumas and learning to regulate yourself and learning like how your energy works. And
you know what image is in my head, and I've never actually seen these movies, but I don't know if you have either, is Star Wars.
Yes,
so, you know, I just have this image of the lightsabers and these two creatures who presumably have the same knowledge, but one is bringing it from the dark and one is bringing it from the light.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
literally evident all through history, because you have, we talked about, I've got to be really careful, the Freemasons. We talked about them. Brothermen. We talked about the Brothermen with their 33 degrees. They are present even in Scripture. They were called the Master Mayhem, and Cain, the one who killed Abel, was the first one who made a pact with HaSatan to get gain in this world for the shedding of innocent blood, and there was secret combinations and all of this. Lamech, the other one, who is like, I'm even more wicked than Cain, and then Nimrod or Gilgamesh. They were all the Master Mayhem, and they were keepers of this ancient knowledge, and the secret societies have been all through history, but there's always been an opposing side. And so this is the order of Enoch, this is the order of the ancients, this is the order of Melchizedek. You see them kind of sprinkled throughout history a little bit. You see Melchizedek mentioned like once in the Old Testament when Abraham defeated the armies of the kings in Sodom and Gomorrah, that whole thing, when he rescued Lot. He goes and meets with Melchizedek. That was the city of peace, the order of Melchizedek. You see the three wise men that came to Messiah and brought him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They were of the order of Melchizedek. They knew how to read the stars. They had access to ancient scrolls and ancient wisdom, and they understood the significance of gold and frankincense and myrrh. It wasn't just random gifts. Like, they were very spiritually significant. And like Elijah passing on his like mantle to Elisha, like he was passing on, one, how to maintain the school of the prophets and the order of the ancients. And it was a whole separate way of being to have access to this. So part of it, I actually have a group in my fellowship that we're going to be getting into the path of the ancients to really understand this order, that pretty much any text that really mentioned it much was taken out of Scripture. I think for a reason, because it's there. It's the opposing force. But it talks about a heightened level of power over this world that is given to this order to combat the level of evil and wickedness and the order of, or the secret combination and the Master Mayhem and all of that. But it wasn't just heavenly wisdom. They understood trauma healing. They understood suffering, and how the Most High uses suffering as a way to season the soul, and a way to strengthen the soul, the way you're forging a weapon. And in the order of the ancients, suffering wasn't just, oh, something's happening to me and I have to do the best I can with the situation that I've been presented with. They understood that when you walk through darkness in this life, it's like, they don't give credit to the enemy. Oh, it's not just spiritual warfare. They understood that the enemy can't operate without permission from the Most High. And they rejoice in struggles. They rejoice in suffering, because it's a way to strengthen the spiritual man. And the original Abarite people, so going all the way back to Abraham before Jacob was named Israel, so going all the way back to Abraham, he taught the order of the ancients. And the whole purpose of the whole thing was to become less flesh and more spiritual in nature. And so this was an understanding that was taught. I mean, they taught meditation, they taught fasting, they taught healing traumas, they taught what consciousness was. They taught, I mean, a lot of this information is honestly very lost, and I don't have access to the 365 books that Enoch wrote, the father of righteousness. Like, I don't have access to that. But we do see within apocryphal texts that to a certain extent, they understood how to put your flesh to death at a more extreme degree. Many of these cultures practiced celibacy as a way of completely denying spending the life force energy in that way, and just using that life force energy towards seeking heavenly knowledge. They taught this whole community rather than separate properties. If you wanted to be a part of the order of the ancients, you had to basically agree that everything is held in common. There was no my property, your property, my money, your money. lived together, they dwelt together, they met for certain times a day and prayed together. They had food and meals together. They worked and lived, and it was a whole different, like, they were still Hebrew people, but it was like there was the majority of Israel that they still had the Torah, they still had the commands, but they just didn't desire to give all their things away to the community. They wanted things of themselves. And so one of the division points is actually, you see, when Lot separated himself from Abraham in the Old Testament, he still submitted to the Torah, but he wanted property of himself. So he removed himself and he went and dwelt in the land of Sodom. And it specifically talks about how Abraham mourned this, like he wasn't a part of this, order anymore, but he still kept Torah. He still was blessed by the Most High because he still submitted to the commands. And so it's basically like all throughout history, there has been a main body of believers that they were covenant people, but then by choice, if you wanted to basically take a next level up and seek the Father's face in its entirety, it was the Torah and then some. Like it was way more surrendering of your flesh and working through traumas and living in a way that, like, you are not your own. Your body, your mind, everything that you are belongs to the people. And it was a whole different way of being. And that group they were the ones that understood the consciousness and what makes a person, and traumas, and all that was a part of it. So I'm just still picking it up. So if we want to, we've talked a lot about this, and I haven't really given any of the scriptural references. I'm going to read just Revelation 22. What's that book? This is Yah Scriptures here that I have in front of me. So Revelation 22 verses 1 and 2. This is a vision in the spirit that Yohanan, or John the Apostle, is given. What he is being shown, I believe, is a representative of the tree of life. It is a representative of the temple within, the reign of the heavens within. New Zion is not something outside. It's not gonna be an outside thing. It is within. So, and he showed me a pure river of water of life, living energy, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there was the tree of life. So, in the midst of the street of it means that there's something flowing in both directions. So a street has traffic flowing in two directions. So for something to be in the midst of the street of it, it means that there is the tree of life is in the street of it, in the midst of this energy flow, and on either side of the river there is a tree of life, which bore 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So again, the tree of life is Lady Wisdom, is the fullness of the seven spirits. And so I'll show you just for example of, like, I wrote down the verse and then I have a whole bunch of notes all spread around. So if you are familiar with text and stuff, we have 12 gates, 12 tribes, 12 fruits, 12 months. So a fruit is something that passes on genetic information. So a fruit of a tree, let's just talk apple tree, okay? So you have an apple tree. Every single apple that grows on that apple tree contains the genetic blueprint of the tree itself to be able to pass on the nature of the tree. So if we're talking about the tree of life having fruit, it is a passing on the genetic information contained within the tree of life itself. So there are 12 manner of fruits, found in the tree of life. And so again, we're gonna think of biblically, there are 12 gates, 12 tribes. And this is something that's you kind of have to understand this. If there are 12 gates, 12 tribes, 12 fruits to the tree of life, it means that those things are all basically the same. The 12 tribes are meant to contain the genetic information contained within the tree of life itself, which is Lady Wisdom, the sevenfold spirits. So, going into 2nd Esdras chapter 2, I want to know how much I want to go back. Maybe I'm just going to read. So I'm just going to read the 2 verses that I have figured out. So 2nd Esdras is an apocryphal text. It is the same Ezra that we read in Scripture. It's just there are 2 extra books that were not included in canon that Ezra wrote. So 2nd Esdras is the second apocryphal book relating to Ezra. And in 2nd Esdras, he is basically called to do 7-day increments of fasting, 12 gates, 12 apostles, 12 tribes, absolutely. In Ezra, or in 2nd Esdras, he is called to do 7-day fasting increments. And at the end of each 7-day fast, he has shown different answers to questions he has in the spirit. And the main reason why this is all happening is because Ezra is mourning for the state of the Hebrew people. He doesn't understand like when the kingdom is coming, why there are so many prophetic promises from the Most High, and why they're not seeing them come to fruition. And so in 2nd Esdras, this is one of the prophetic answers. So Yahuwah is speaking here. I'm just going to read from verse 17 to 19. So I guess to the first part of 2nd Esdras, the father does a comparison between the original Hebrew people that betrayed their mother, that went astray, that didn't follow Torah, that didn't submit themselves to wisdom or follow the commands of the Most High, and they were basically cast away. And then he's bringing the contrary, the promised people, the new Zion, new Jacob, this new promise. So in 17, he says, "Fear not, you mother of the children." So the mother of the children is Lady Wisdom. "For I have chosen you," says Yahuwah. "For your help, I will send my servants, Esau and Jeremiah," which is Jeremiah, "after whose counsel I have sanctified and prepared for you 12 trees laden with diverse fruits, and as many fountains flowing with milk and honey, and 7 mighty mountains, whereupon there grow roses and lilies, whereby I will fill your children with joy." So this is all spiritual understanding. Yohanan is describing, or not in this one, but in Revelation, Yohanan is describing spiritual concepts with understanding that he understood. This is the same type of thing. This is not physically 7 mountains where literally it is fountains flowing with milk and honey. It's not literally 7 mountains where it's a bunch of roses and lilies and there are going to be children living on these 7 mountains and that's what's going to bring them joy. This is dealing with things of the spirit. So going back, we still have the 12 fruits, but now it brings in a land flowing with milk and honey. I did word studies on those. The 7 mighty mountains, okay? This says the 7 spirits, the 7 branches. We also see the 7 lampstands, the 7 churches. So this is, upon these 7 mountains grow roses and lilies. So in Hebraic understanding and symbolic understanding, roses represent divine love, and lilies are a sign of purity, beauty, and provision from Yahuwah. So the Most High is saying, on the 7 mighty mountains. So this would be, again, we're not talking about external mountains anymore. We're not talking about an external kingdom. On the 7 mountains, the 7 spiritual elevation points, they are literal vortexes of energy that look like a cone almost. The 7 points within the body, within this internal kingdom, the tree of life, the 7-branch spirit will grow, will blossom, these roses and lilies, this divine love, this purity, and the children will be filled with joy within this kingdom. So, I mean, honestly, you'd have to really get into it. I have things drawn out that you really can't see when it talks about in Revelation, in the midst of the street of it and on either side of it, it means within something and surrounding something. So the human body has energy or waters of life flowing within it. That's within the street of it is the tree of life, and surrounding it. And then in Revelation, it talks about the tree yielding fruit every month, and the leaves are for the healing of the nations. Now, if we look at biology, the leaves of a tree are responsible for taking sunlight and converting it to usable energy. That is how trees make energy. So if we apply that same understanding to us, okay, if we consider ourselves now the fruit of the tree of life, we contain the same genetic information as the tree of life herself, containing the 7 spirits. If we understand that, our leaves are for the healing of the nation. So for the children of the Most High, our leaves would be our understanding to receive energy and information in a connection to the Father, to distill that and to understand that in a way that we can pass that on to the nations in which that they can understand.
Not laughing at you. It's good. Sorry.
That's okay. But it's so basically we have fruit. So the fruit of the tree we are passing on. The Lady Wisdom herself is our mother. She is the tree of life. We are her fruit. The 12 gates, the 12 fruits, the 12 tribes, the 12 apostles. These are meant to be genetic copies. We're meant to display the same 7 spirits as Lady Wisdom. If we then have that tree within us, our fruit and our leaves are going to be the same. So our leaves are meant to bring the knowledge of the Father to the healing of the nations. It's not a physical tree. It's not something outside of us. It's within us, and our responsibility now as the temple, the vessel for the living God. We have Elohim within us, the spirit of Elohim. Is it 7 attributes of one spirit? Yes. So when Lady Wisdom introduces herself, she says, wisdom is mine, understanding is mine, might is mine, counsel is mine. So it is a part of it all. And so the prophetic destiny of the Messiah, it talks about on him, on the Messiah will rest the fullness of the 7 spirits. So now how we should be displaying that we are true children of the Father, children of the light, is that we should be displaying those same 7 spirits. So let's see if I can remember them again. The spirit of Yahuwah, the spirit of the fear of Yahuwah, the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of counsel, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of might, and the spirit of knowledge. You got it. So we should be displaying all of these 7 spirits. And so because of that, and as above, so below is going to be probably triggering for some people, it is understood in Scripture that whatever manifests on earth must first manifest in the heavens. It is like it trickles downwards. There are higher dimensions from us. There was a temple in the heavens before there was ever a temple made on earth. There was a Ark of the Covenant in the heavens before there ever was one on earth. There was an altar in the heavens before there ever was one on earth. So
just like how there are 7 spirits in 7 energetic points within our body, 7 spirits that should be, it's all the same, the spirit of Yahuwah, but there are 7 branches to it. There are going to be connection points within our body that tie into those 7 spirits, and which is why the different chakra system, or the 7 seals, like who is worthy to open the seals? Nobody except the Lamb is worthy to open the seals. The 7 seals, it is a very important part for us to understand that we need to. So for example, the root chakra, the energy that is in that root chakra is being stable, being grounded into who you are, and not being easily shaken. And we're called to have our feet on the rock of our salvation, to be solid on the rock of our salvation, which is Messiah. And so there's a twisting of what the root chakra is, but if you don't have a solid foundation, you can't have a balance in your heart, like going up to the heart chakra, which is the center space, which is where our largest energy field is. You can still have energy in the body at all these different points. We can have emotions. You can reach certain levels of awakening. But if you're not solid on the rock of your foundation of your faith and who you are, it's solid in your identity in the Creator, the entire energy system is going to be out of balance. And so I fully believe that you don't have to understand exactly how all the energy works in the body, but you have to do work of your traumas. You have to understand how to balance and forgive people. You have to understand how to be solid in who you are without bending to the will and the opinions of others. You have to be able to, like the throat chakra, like you don't have to understand what the throat chakra is, but you have to be able to set boundaries and speak truth without fear. You have to be able to be confident in what you declare without shrinking back from the opinions of others. So like technically you can gain the balance and those parts of your body just through the Ruach leading you. But it helps to have the anchor of understanding that you have energy points that are measurable in science that tie into how these individual vortexes are. So your heart has its own toroidal field. Your head has its own toroidal field. And it lines up with the 7 spirits. And it's all related. So I don't know if that was good enough to that was a lot. And
that's amazing. Thank you. I had a few moments. I'm not fully on board with everything you're saying because I'm a little triggered still. We can still eat dinner together.
Yes,
that will still be. But so much of what you said is at least interesting enough to me to entertain what you're presenting.
Yeah. We'll hang out again and we can be friends. And I'm not going to be pulling you away from those times.
The people who weren't there when we started the video, I guess we kind of just started off by saying how reluctant I am to dive into some of these subjects that OriYah is presenting because I come from the world where everything was inverted and twisted and very dark. So even certain words she uses and certain symbols I see noted down on your thing, I'm like, oh, girl, are you serious? But I'm still super open-minded because I went through a few months of being indoctrinated. I went through a lifetime of New Age deception. A few months of being indoctrinated in the church. I'm not doing it. Even here, I'm not letting a Torah teacher dictate what is true or not. It's not happening.
So that's the yin yang symbol, right?
Yeah.
So if you believe the flat earth, right, the earth has an energy field. The sun and the moon.
Yeah, okay, fine.
The sun and the moon is what creates the energy flow. So the energy comes from the Father, and it has to have a directional flow. It must, or else it'll collapse on itself. So what actually creates the flow of energy is having that balance. The head and the heart are the same way. The left brain and the right brain are the same way. So there must be, this is basically like, you can look at it as the yin yang symbol, or you can look at it as Yahuwah's perspective of the earth with the sun and the moon.
If we're talking about things being counterfeit, that's just I mean, that's just what it is. It
That-
has to, if the
Mhm.
enemy cannot create anything, you've
Yep.
got to take what was there
Yep.
and make it into something else. And then make
Absolutely.
someone like me who's on the brink of having like these realizations like, oh, OriYah, stop. So.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, so next to each other, you have, this is the top down view. Okay, so you've got this energy flow this way. It's goes down into the center and then branches back out.
Mm-hmm.
If you flipped that and looked from the side, this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the energy field. This is trees, branches, and trees' roots. So all of creation, trees have the same exact energy flow to them. So you're just looking at the earth, the energy flow of the human body, the energy flow of the cell, the energy flow of trees from different angles. And it's that's all
I think
it
there's
is.
just so much spirituality removed. Like spirituality gets removed when we go into the church. Like many of the churches
Yes.
don't believe in the gifts of the Spirit.
Yeah.
They don't believe in even deliverance or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just like this sterilized place that you enter. And then a lot of people go through church to then come into Torah, and
Yeah.
they bring that sterile, like bleached Javex environment over there. So we can't even, like bless the fact that we could even have this conversation. Because I'm telling you, there are many people in the Torah community who would not.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've had people basically talk about me as if I'm pulling people into New Age, like because of the things that I talk about, but it's all fear based. So the thing of like the reason why I have even understood the things is because when it comes down to it, all knowledge belongs to the Father. All truth belongs to the Father. And it's either something that belongs to Him in its purity, or it's truth that has been taken and twisted, because the enemy can't come up with new truth. There's nothing. Yeah. And so if you are somebody who cares about the opinions of others and you are operating in fear, that's going to dictate in your brain what you're willing to look at and what you're willing to consider and all of these things. But I have just kind of understood that I'm going to trust the Father, because I know my heart and my desire isn't for knowledge. My desire is to see the Father's face. And if the Father is going to have me read, I've read certain things and the Spirit was like, no, like that's not for you. That's something that the enemy will use for, like astral projection is one of the things that it's like, technically humans have the ability to do that. It is not good to do, because you're entering the astral plane, which is real. It's the lowest heaven. You're entering the plane that demons and fallen angels are trapped into. They were literally cursed to be stuck on earth in the astral plane. And so when you astral project, yep, humans have the ability to do it. It is within the biological design that plucking from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you have the ability to send your consciousness outside of your body in a Merkaba and travel around outside of space and time, and you can see all these things. That is not something we're supposed to be doing, because you are leaving the safety of the temple, of the covering of the vessel, and you are entering an astral plane. And that's how, like, once your soul is gone, your body is not protected, and it can invite other spirits to then come in and enter the vessel. And so there's lots of this understanding that I don't have to fear it. Learning about astral projection didn't do anything to me, because I trusted that the Spirit told me, nope, that's not for you. And so with this, it's okay. So now I'm starting to understand that there are energy points in the body, and it lines up with the colors of the rainbow.
Well,
And
it's not that we're meant to stay in ignorance either. That's not the point of not wanting, like, we don't want to eat that fruit, but doesn't mean that we need to have our head in the sand either.
Yes.
Right?
So I look at it as I have read and understood Kabbalah. I've read and understood the Book of Mormon and Islam, and I've studied and understood Hindu, and I like little bits of it, because we're also called to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves, and we're not called to be fearful. The Father brings us into an understanding of all of the things around us, not to fear it, not to join them, but to show us what we have authority over, and to show us that this is this is the artificial, like, version
Yeah.
of what the enemy's
But
going to
it's so,
offer
the thing
you.
is, it's so subtle. It's so
Yeah.
unbelievably subtle. And I've had a hard time with some of the people we fellowship with who have never been, or like even my husband has never been in the New Age. So sometimes I say like, no, like that's not for us. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I'm exaggerating or something. Like, no, guys, really, it's not for us. And I still have a lot to untangle.
Yeah.
It takes time. You can't be so immersed in one way of thinking, and then you threw me for a curveball. Like I did not see any of this, but I trust you. So,
And I don't even need you to necessarily trust me. Oh, Bobby, thank you. I love the Walt. That's actually kind of awesome. I don't honestly, I fully believe that if you take what I've told you now, so now the Father has presented you with the information you never had.
It's the only option I have. I don't believe, I don't trust in any human, aside from my husband, really.
Yeah.
To ever take your word, I will not be like, oh, OriYah, I will not put you on that pedestal.
Yeah.
I'm just super grateful, and I think that anybody who watches who has an open enough heart and mind is also going to be blessed by this. That we can then do what we're supposed to do, which is take it to the Father in prayer, take it to Scripture, see what's presented there. I'm super intrigued. There's not a lot, actually. We can talk later, but there's not a lot that really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm actually quite relieved because I really like you, and I didn't want you to be like a total weirdo. So this is very, very comforting, actually.
What I know to be true is the Father speaks to us and communicates with us according to the neural pathways that we have established. Every bit of information you're presented with, every connection that you have creates a new neural pathway. So what we've done right now is we've created new neural pathways in your brain to where you can go back to Scripture now that you've read before. And if it's pertaining to any of this information.
I know those moments, and that's when you get your aha moments. Like I was saying to OriYah earlier, like my son is only 12, and he's so fresh and so uncorrupted that kid connects things like nobody's business.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the indoctrination of anything.
Yeah. So it's something that the information is presented, and then now as you begin to study Scripture.
No, I know. Then you see it everywhere. That's what's going to happen. And that's what was happening when I was doing my cross stitch. I'm like, oh, there are 7 colors of the rainbow and the chakras. Yeah. And that was like the week that we had started talking. Yeah. So there's no accidents. I'm super grateful. Thank you very, very much for doing this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to do it.
In person too, right?
Yes. Yeah, because I don't have any people anywhere around me that have any, I'm the crazy cuckoo person, and it's super nice to be able to actually hug somebody.
It's about the soul. I'm covered, not in gold or pearls or fame, but